Get out! The words cracked through the glass walls of the Apex Auto Galleria like a whip. Victor Lang, eyes blazing, pointed at the black woman in the gray hoodie standing calmly beside a $1 million Rolls-Royce Phantom. "You don't belong here," he barked. Lauren Pierce stood frozen. Ethan Brooks chuckled from behind a sales desk, and security guard Marcus Reed moved closer, muttering, "I'll handle her myself." Customers turned. Silence fell. The staff had no idea who they were speaking to. In just 15 minutes, that same woman would stand at the center of the room and declare, "You're all fired, effective immediately." Before we dive in, I want to know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments. And if you believe in standing up for dignity, for truth, and for justice, then do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on the bell. Because this is not a skit. This really happened. And it happened right here, inside a showroom at 4500 Roosevelt Way NE in Seattle, where power and prejudice collided in broad daylight. It started with quiet footsteps. A woman in her early 40s entered the Apex Auto Galleria, alone, unannounced, and dressed plainly in a gray hoodie, loose jeans, and sneakers. No designer bag, no flashy watch, just a calm, focused presence. Her name was Amara Davis, but no one here knew that yet. For more than an hour, she walked the floor. No one greeted her. Not a hello, not a single offer of assistance. Staff brushed past like she didn't exist. Meanwhile, customers who arrived after her, especially a white couple, were greeted with smiles, champagne, and eager hands leading them to private lounges and luxury test drives. Amara stayed quiet, observing, listening. She wasn't here to browse. She was here to investigate, not as a mystery shopper, but as the woman whose name was on every Apex automotive contract. When she finally approached the front desk and calmly asked about the Rolls-Royce Phantom, General Manager Victor Lang didn't even try to hide his disdain. "That's not for you," he said. "You don't have that kind of money." Then came the insult. "There's a scrapyard 2 blocks over. You'd be more comfortable there." Lauren Pierce picked up the intercom and made an announcement loud enough for everyone to hear. "Attention staff. We've got a window shopper asking about the $1 million Phantom, hoodie and sneakers, probably looking for the bus stop." A few uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the showroom. Amara stayed still. Ethan added his jab from across the room. "She's not a buyer. She's a photo op." Amara reached into her pocket and pulled out a premium black credit card, the kind reserved for high-net-worth clients. She held it out. Lauren took it, examined it for all of 2 seconds, then dropped it into the trash. "Fake," she said flatly. "Try Craigslist." That's when Jaden Kim, a Korean-American customer standing nearby, raised his phone. "I'm recording this," he said. "This is disgusting." Olivia Grant, a white woman by the luxury SUV section, looked up in shock. "They're mocking her," she whispered. "They don't even know who she is." Amara made a call, quiet, calm, direct. "Zoe," she said, "activate the internal system." On the other end, her assistant replied instantly, "Already done." Olivia wandered closer to the break room and caught voices inside, laughing. "She really thought she had a real card?" Lauren was saying. Ethan chimed in. "She probably borrowed that hoodie too." Olivia came back pale. "They're trashing her back there," she said. "This isn't just rude, it's cruel." Jade Harper, the youngest salesperson on the floor, stepped forward. "She's a customer," she said. "This is wrong. This is none of your concern." Victor snapped. "Mind your lane," Amara's voice cut in, low and steady. "You're embarrassing yourselves." She said, "You're not just violating ethics. You're violating company values." Marcus stepped in. "Lady, this is your last warning. Walk out, or we'll make you." And in that moment, Amara remembered. She was 22, walking into a dealership for her first car. After a promotion she was proud of. Same hoodie, same quiet confidence. The salesman there had looked at her and said, "Sweetheart, save your time. This isn't goodwill." She left that day embarrassed, but not broken. That day planted a seed. She would own her own dealerships, and no one would ever feel what she felt again. Ethan scribbled on a clipboard. "Waitlist's full anyway. Even if you had money, you're not getting in." Olivia stepped up. "I heard everything in the break room," she said. "You're lying." Jaden held his phone higher. "This is going online if she walks out without justice." Amara took one step forward, eyes locked on Victor. "You have no idea what's about to happen," she said, and in just a few more minutes, they would... Marcus Reed took another step forward, his stance wide, voice low and tight with authority. "You need to leave," he warned, his hand hovering over the radio clipped to his belt. "Now." He looked over his shoulder at Victor, who gave a small, satisfied nod. "If she won't go on her own," Victor said, "escort her." The tension shifted. People stopped pretending not to look. Phones inched higher. Jaden Kim was already recording. His lens didn't shake. His face was stiff. "You're really throwing her out?" he asked. "Seriously?" Lauren scoffed from across the showroom, arms crossed, mouth curled in a smug smile. "She's not buying anything. This is private property. We have policies." She said it like a legal shield, like it justified everything. "Policy says she doesn't get to loiter," Ethan chimed in, adding, "I mean, come on. If she can't even afford a base model, why is she still here?" Jade Harper's voice, hesitant but clear, broke through the rising noise. "She never said she couldn't afford anything. She asked about the Phantom. And we answered." Victor cut in. "We answered with reality." Amara's expression hadn't changed. Still composed, still quiet. She tilted her head slightly, watching Marcus take another step. "If you lay a hand on me," she said, "you'll regret it." "Is that a threat?" Marcus shot back. "That's a warning," said Jade, stepping between them. "She hasn't done anything wrong." Victor's tone turned icy. "You want to join her?" Jade's chin rose, defiance flickering behind her nerves. "I want you to stop." Across the room, Olivia Grant put her phone down and stormed toward the break room again. She'd heard something earlier, low voices, laughter, but now she wanted the full story. As she moved closer, the sound became clearer. "I almost laughed in her face," Ethan was saying, his voice echoing softly through the half-open door. "I can't believe she pulled out that card like it was real." Lauren's voice followed, shrill with amusement. "It probably came from a toy store. I should have handed her a flyer for a payday loan." Olivia's face twisted. She pulled out her phone and started recording. She didn't care if they saw. She needed proof. When she returned to the main floor, the confrontation was still unfolding. Marcus loomed. Ethan chuckled. Victor whispered something to Lauren, who rolled her eyes. "Troublemakers," he muttered. That word, troublemakers, carried an old, heavy history. Amara looked him straight in the face. "You think calling me trouble gives you power?" she said. "It reveals yours." Lauren took a step forward. "You've had your moment," she snapped. "Time to go." "We're not done," Amara replied. Jaden's voice cut in. "This is unreal. You're throwing her out because of how she looks." "We're throwing her out because she's wasting time," Victor replied smoothly. "That's policy." Olivia stepped forward then, voice steady but loud enough to carry. "I just recorded your break room conversation." She said, "You were mocking her." The room tilted, a few gasps. Jade froze, then turned toward Olivia. "What did you hear?" Olivia didn't flinch. They laughed about her card, called it fake, said she should be on a bus. Victor's mask cracked for a moment. That's out of context, he said quickly. That's not. I heard it too, Jaden added. This is bias. Period. Ethan shrugged. Everyone jokes. Don't be dramatic. Amara stepped closer to Jade. How long have you worked here? 6 months. Jade said. Have you seen this before? Amara asked. Jade hesitated. Yes. Victor whipped around. What? Jade looked him dead in the eye now. You ignore people like her all the time. You said it was strategy. You said we focus on real leads. Murmurs spread through the room. Ethan laughed, but there was a nervous twitch in his jaw now. Come on, Jade, don't start preaching. You fabricate wait lists, Jade said. Louder now. You write down names that don't exist just to keep people like her from test driving anything. Olivia stepped beside her. And you mock people for not dressing the way you want. Victor's jaw clenched. Enough. Amara didn't move. This is who you are when you think no one's watching. Ethan turned toward Jaden. Put the phone away. You don't even know her. I don't have to know her, Jaden said, still filming. I know what I'm seeing. Amara's voice was sharp and deliberate now. You're all so used to being untouchable, you don't even try to hide it. Marcus scowled. We're doing our jobs. No, Jade cut in. You're doing damage. Amara's eyes settled back on Victor. You've built a culture that excuses this, that trains it, and then hides behind policy. I've built a top-performing showroom, he snapped. This is how business works. No, Amara said again. This is how bias works. A hush stretched across the space. The Warrens, the white couple who'd been offered champagne earlier, re-entered the floor from their test drive, confused by the frozen crowd. Is something wrong? Mrs. Warren asked. No one answered. Jade turned to Amara. Whatever you need, whatever you decide, I stand with you. Victor laughed, almost desperately. You don't even know her name. I do, Amara said. But you will soon. Olivia faced the crowd. How many other customers have you done this to? That's not your concern. Victor snapped. It's everyone's concern, Jaden said. Because now we've all seen it. Amara glanced toward the exit, then back at Marcus. If you think throwing me out will protect this place, try it. What gives you the right to talk like that? Lauren asked. What makes you think you matter here? And that's when Amara took one step forward, locked eyes with her, and said, Everything. Now I want to hear from you. What would you say to Victor and his staff in that moment? Drop your thoughts in the comments and help call out injustice where you see it. Your voice matters. And what happens next? You're not ready for what's coming. Victor Lang had enough. His face was flushed, his voice boiling over, and with zero hesitation, he grabbed the intercom mic from the front desk. Attention all staff, he barked, his voice echoing across every marble surface of Apex Auto Galleria. We have a disruptive individual refusing to leave the showroom. Please remove her immediately. The customers in the lounge jerked their heads up. Champagne glasses trembled slightly. The Warrens, still glowing from their test drive, exchanged confused glances. But Amara didn't move. She stood in the same spot she'd held since the moment she was dismissed. Calm, centered, as if she had the weight of the building in her bones. Marcus Reed cracked his neck and stepped toward her again. I said move, he muttered under his breath. We don't want a scene. Amara looked up at him, her eyes steady, unwavering. Then don't make one. Ethan Brooks let out a loud, theatrical sigh from behind his desk. You know what this is? He said to no one in particular, raising his voice for everyone to hear. Entitlement? Pure and simple. Thinks she's special 'cause she came in with a card she probably printed at home. The line got a weak laugh from one of the interns. Olivia turned, appalled. "You think this is funny?" she snapped. "You're humiliating her in front of everyone." "We're protecting our standards," Lauren chimed in. "We can't let anyone walk in and pretend to be a buyer." "She's not pretending," Jade Harper said, stepping forward now, holding something tightly in her hand. "She's not pretending anything." "Jade, don't," Victor warned. "Not now." But Jade ignored him. She raised her phone and tapped the screen. A recording began to play over the small speaker. Ethan's voice, unmistakable, sneering. "We don't serve people like that first. We let 'em wait. See if they get embarrassed and walk out." Then Lauren's voice, laughing. "If they're not wearing something worth more than my nails, I don't even greet 'em." The room turned. The chuckles stopped. Every head swiveled toward Jade, then toward Amara. Victor's face went pale. "You've been recording us?" he asked, voice suddenly hoarse. "You've been saying these things." Jade shot back. "Don't be mad I captured the truth." Amara didn't smile, didn't gloat. She simply turned slightly, as if absorbing every face in the room. And for a second, she wasn't here. She was 25 again, boarding a first-class flight with her father. They'd both worn comfortable sweats, worn-out sneakers, and carried no visible brands. A flight attendant had stopped them before they reached their seats. "Economy's that way," she said, when they handed over their tickets, first class, printed and real. The attendant blinked, flustered. "You must have upgraded late," she muttered. They hadn't. They belonged there, but no one had believed it. That moment had carved something deep into her. A vow. People would stop assuming they knew her worth. Victor's voice broke through again, angry and defensive. "This is ridiculous. None of this changes the fact she's being disruptive." "No," Jaden said loudly, stepping closer, still recording. You're trying to eject a black woman because you decided she wasn't worth your time," Olivia added. "You ignored her, mocked her, and then tried to erase her when she pushed back." Marcus moved again. "You're not management. You don't get to run this floor." "Neither do you," said Amara quietly. "Not for much longer." A small group of customers, watching from the side, started murmuring. One of them, a middle-aged Latino man in a suit, walked toward Amara and stood beside her. Then another, an older white woman who had walked in just before the chaos started, stepped forward too. "This is wrong," she said softly. "She asked about a car. That's not a crime." "She has every right to be here," someone else added. Victor raised his arms. "This is a private business," he said. "We reserve the right to refuse." "No," Olivia cut in. "You don't reserve the right to discriminate. That's not policy. That's prejudice." "You humiliated her," Jaden said, turning his phone toward Victor now. "And we all saw it." Ethan was sweating now. "So what? You're forming a protest line?" He scoffed. "She still doesn't run this place." Amara looked at him then. Not with anger, but with something deeper. "You think this is about me buying a car?" she said. "This is about what kind of company this is, what kind of people you've become." And then came the twist. Unexpected, irreversible, explosive. The small group of customers began stepping in front of her, one by one, until they formed a human barrier between Amara and the staff. Marcus stepped back slightly, unsure. Lauren hesitated. Even Victor seemed thrown by the shift. The customers didn't shout. They didn't raise fists. They just stood, calm, firm, unyielding. "You're not touching her," Jaden said, stepping into the line. "Not unless you plan to throw all of us out, too." "And if you do," Olivia added. You'll be on every phone in here. Victor turned to Lauren, flustered. We've got a situation, he muttered. What do we do? Lauren's voice cracked. She might be serious. This might blow up bigger than we can fix. Amara glanced at Jade. How long have complaints like this gone ignored? Too long, Jade replied. They always said it was just customer confusion, that nothing was on record. Well, Amara said, pulling out her phone again, we're about to fix that. Victor stepped forward one last time. Whatever you think you're doing, it won't work. We've dealt with angry people before. They post. They move on. I'm not posting, Amara said. I'm staying. Her voice dropped just a bit. And I'm about to change everything. The room went still. The balance had shifted, and Victor Lang finally understood. He wasn't in control anymore. Lauren Pierce snapped, her voice, once polished and syrupy for high-end buyers, now trembled with frustration and fear. Get out, she shouted again, louder this time, more shrill than commanding. Her heels clicked as she stormed across the showroom and grabbed Amara's arm, tight, unprofessional, desperate. You've caused enough of a scene. But before she could pull her away, 3 customers stepped between them, blocking her path. Don't touch her, said a woman in her 50s, firm and unwavering. You've done enough damage. Lauren froze. Her grip loosened. Amara didn't move. The showroom, once filled with quiet background music and soft sales chatter, had become a stage of stillness. Phones were still filming. Eyes were everywhere, and yet, at the center of it all, Amara stood grounded, surrounded now not by staff but by customers, people who'd come in for cars and now found themselves standing up for principle. Marcus Reed stepped forward again, squaring his shoulders, jaw tight. You're causing a disruption, he muttered. This isn't your house. Amara met his glare. That's where you're wrong. Jade Harper turned toward the onlookers and said, They've done this before. I've seen it. I've filed complaints that got buried. They told me it wasn't my place to challenge management. Her voice cracked but didn't break. This is who they are when they think no one's watching. Olivia stepped forward, lifting her phone. Except today. Everyone's watching. Ethan laughed nervously, sweat now gathering at his hairline. This is all over what? Some card and an attitude problem? Jaden's voice cut through the noise. This is about dignity. And you just set it on fire. Lauren stepped back, arms tight across her chest. I didn't do anything wrong, she muttered. This is being blown way out of proportion. Then why are you shaking? Asked the man standing beside Amara. He hadn't spoken until now. He looked like a professional, clean-shaven, tailored slacks, but his voice carried weight. Because you know what you did. Amara pulled out her phone once more and dialed. The room was quiet enough that everyone could hear the line ring. Then a voice answered, crisp, direct, female. Claire Thompson, came the reply. Claire, this is Amara, she said. I'm authorizing immediate termination of 4 employees at Apex Auto Galleria. You'll have the names in 60 seconds. A pause. Then, calm as silk. Understood. I support this. Claire's voice dropped. And I'll be notifying the board, the reform package. Should I greenlight it? Amara's eyes never left Victor's. Greenlight it? A tremor rippled through the staff. Victor tried to laugh, but it landed hollow. Nice bluff, he sneered. Calling the CEO like you're her friend. Amara didn't blink. I'm not calling the CEO. She stepped forward now, one pace closer to the line of staff. I am the CEO. The room exhaled, collectively, audibly. It was like the air had been sucked out, then dumped back in all at once. What? Lauren whispered. No, Ethan said, already shaking his head. That's not possible. That can't be true. Her name's Amara Davis, Olivia said, stunned. I've heard of her. She owns Apex Automotive. Jade nodded. She's the reason I took this job. Victor stumbled backward a step. This is a setup. Amara's voice rose, strong now, heavy with finality. This is accountability. Something you've never had to face in this building. Marcus stood rigid, face unreadable. You've got no proof. We've got footage, audio, eyewitnesses. Olivia snapped. And now, your own CEO. The customers rallied tighter, forming a wall of truth in the face of arrogance. This isn't just a firing, Amara said. This is a reckoning. Jade stepped beside her. And you've earned it. Lauren began to cry. Silent tears, too proud to fall apart, too late to reverse what had already unfolded. I didn't know, she whispered. I thought she was just... She didn't finish. Amara looked at her, not cruelly, but directly. You didn't think at all. Victor's last defense was rage. You came in here dressed like that just to trap us? I came in dressed like your customers, she said. The ones you ignore. Then came the very large twist. Olivia raised her phone and played a second clip, one she had secretly recorded earlier in the break room. This time, the voices weren't just cruel, they were damning. Lauren. Victor told us to stall anyone who didn't look like they belonged. Ethan. Yeah, if they dress cheap, they probably can't afford anything. Just keep 'em waiting till they leave. Silence. Victor's face turned white. He reached for the desk as if for balance. You were in on this? Jade asked Lauren, stunned. All this time? Lauren didn't answer. She just stared at the floor. And you, Amara said to Ethan. You fabricated a wait list? Ethan opened his mouth, but had no defense. Customers began murmuring again. A woman near the lounge shook her head and muttered. This place is rotten, Jaden added. This is why people don't trust businesses anymore, because this stuff happens behind polished windows. Amara turned to Zoe, still on the phone via Bluetooth. Zoe, prepare a public apology, get legal on standby, full cooperation with any customers impacted by previous incidents. Already in progress, Zoe replied. Media's contacting us now, Claire chimed back in. I've spoken to the press team. This story's moving. Fast. Victor looked like he might collapse. You can't do this. I already have, Amara said. You're no longer employed at Apex Automotive Group. None of you are... The customers applauded, not like a celebration, but like a verdict finally read aloud. A soft, rising clap of relief, justice, and something like hope. Amara turned once more to the people who had stood up beside her. Thank you, she said quietly. You didn't have to speak up, but you did. Olivia nodded. So did you. And with that, the weight shifted for good, the balance of power, the truth of who belonged and who didn't, was restored, not by shouting, not by violence, but by a woman who walked in with a hoodie, a memory, and a mission. Amara Davis stood tall at the heart of the showroom, no longer anonymous, no longer underestimated, no longer silent. She didn't have to raise her voice. Every soul in the room was already listening. Let me be absolutely clear, she said, eyes fixed on Victor, her tone steady as iron. My name is Amara Davis. I am the CEO and sole owner of Apex Automotive Group. This dealership, every square inch of it, is mine, and as of this moment, I am terminating 4 members of this staff for gross misconduct, discrimination, and direct violation of company ethics. The room didn't erupt. It inhaled, deeply, like everyone present realized they were witnessing the moment the ground shifted under their feet. Victor Lang, she said slowly. General Manager, you are terminated, effective immediately. Victor took a breath as if to argue but said nothing. The words hit harder than anything he could have prepared for. Lauren Pierce, terminated. Ethan Brooks, terminated. Marcus Reed, terminated and permanently banned from any future employment across Apex Automotive Group. Murmurs spread like wildfire. No one moved. It was like time folded in on itself. Amara continued. All internal records will be updated. Formal notices will be processed today, and each of you will be escorted from the premises the moment this is over. Claire Thompson's voice rang through Amara's phone, now held on speaker. Confirming board approval of all 4 terminations, HR documentation is being generated in real time. Support teams have been alerted. Zoe's voice followed immediately. Public apology draft is 70% complete. I'm coordinating with legal and PR. Press contacts are standing by. Amara nodded once, as if directing an orchestra. Then she turned toward Jade. Jade Harper, she said, her tone softening. You had every reason to stay quiet. You didn't. For that, effective immediately. I'm promoting you to senior sales and ethics lead for this showroom. Jade's eyes filled. Are you serious? Dead serious, Amara said. And I expect you to help me rebuild this place into what it should have been from the start. Customers around them applauded, not a clapping for a deal applause, but a slow, sincere wave of human approval, like justice had just taken human form and walked into their day. Victor, shaken now, reached for the edge of the front desk like he might collapse. You're destroying everything, he said. You're burning the business to the ground. I'm clearing out the rot, Amara replied, so the foundation can breathe again. Ethan stepped forward suddenly, desperation written all over him. Wait, this isn't fair. I did what Victor told me to. We all did. He made the rules. Amara raised a hand, stopping him cold. So you knew they were wrong, and you still followed them. Ethan's mouth moved, but no words came. That's not a defense, she said. It's a confession. Then, just when the dust seemed to settle, Lauren spoke. Her voice cracked, barely audible at first. It's true, she said, trembling. We did it. We picked who to serve based on how they looked. We didn't write it down, but we all knew the rules. Silence returned, this time colder, deeper. Victor started it, Lauren continued, her hands shaking now. He told us that people in hoodies weren't serious buyers, that if someone walked in without designer clothes, we should stall them, make them wait, put them on fake wait lists, just keep smiling until they left. Lauren, Victor growled, shut your mouth. No, she snapped suddenly, voice rising for the first time. You don't get to control the story anymore. She turned back to Amara. I was wrong. I should have stood up. I let the system work the way it wanted because it was easier than fighting it. Tears fell now, hot and honest. But when I threw your card away, I knew I crossed a line I could never walk back from. Amara didn't soften, but she didn't turn away either. You're responsible for what you chose. That's not cruelty. That's consequence. I know, Lauren said, nodding. I know. Olivia, phone still recording, whispered to Jaden. This is going to reach people, not just here. It already has, he replied. This is bigger than a dealership. Amara turned again to the customers, to the bystanders who became witnesses, to those of you who stood up, to those who said, this isn't right when you didn't have to. Thank you. What you did matters. Then she faced Victor once more. You created a culture where discrimination wasn't just tolerated, it was policy. You taught others to profile, to filter, to fabricate. And when people like Jade or our customers pushed back, you gaslit them. You turned your back on everything Apex was built to stand for. I built this showroom, Victor hissed. I made these numbers happen. And I built the company that gave you this floor. Amara replied. You just proved you never deserved it. Zoe's voice cut in again from the phone. Media is drafting statements now. Internal memos to all locations are going out by end of day. Reform protocol will be activated within 24 hours. Claire added. The board has approved additional training and diversity accountability metrics, per your framework. Amara closed her eyes briefly, breathing through the moment. This is the beginning, she said. This isn't just about punishment. It's about making sure this doesn't happen again. She looked at Jade. You'll help lead that? I will, Jade said, her voice steadier now. I promise. Amara turned back to the gathered customers. If any of you experience something like what happened today, or if someone you know has, I want you to report it. I want to hear it. We will make it right. Phones were still up, cameras still rolling, but none of it felt performative. It felt necessary. It felt overdue. Victor said nothing more. He just stood there, deflated. Lauren wiped her face. Ethan stared at the floor. Marcus had already stepped back, arms crossed tightly, eyes no longer defiant, just blank. Your time here is over, Amara said to all of them. Now go. And for the first time in the entire confrontation, the staff obeyed. Under the vaulted ceiling of Apex Auto Galleria, sunlight streamed through the glass panels, glinting off polished hoods and showroom chrome. But the atmosphere had changed. The luxury dealership no longer felt like a place of opulence. It felt like a courtroom. Amara Davis, standing at the center of the floor, called the staff to an official meeting. Victor Lang, Lauren Pierce, Ethan Brooks, Marcus Reed, she said firmly, motioning toward the center area where a few clean-lined leather chairs had been moved into a circle. Please step forward. They obeyed, slowly, shoulders stiff, faces drained of the arrogance they had worn just 15 minutes earlier. Customers, employees, and bystanders remained gathered around the perimeter. No one left. Everyone watched. This will be brief, Amara said, her tone clipped but measured. As Chief Executive Officer and sole owner of Apex Automotive Group, I am conducting this meeting in accordance with internal policy. This is a formal personnel proceeding. We are not behind closed doors because the damage you caused wasn't private. It was public. She didn't sit. She stood, commanding, resolute. You have all been found in violation of multiple ethical standards, biased service denial, verbal harassment, appearance-based profiling, and manipulation of internal protocols. These actions are not only immoral, they are in direct breach of Apex's operational code. Claire Thompson's voice came in via speakerphone, clear and crisp. The board has reviewed all findings and supports immediate termination. Zoe Carter followed. All records are time-stamped and logged. Security badges will be revoked by day's end. Compensation will be reviewed and withheld where violations intersect with falsified documentation. Amara nodded slightly and turned first to Marcus. You, Marcus Reed, used your position as security to intimidate and target customers based on bias. You threatened physical removal without cause. You ignored Apex's mandate to protect, not persecute. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated, and you are barred from all future Apex locations indefinitely. Marcus clenched his jaw but said nothing. He looked like he wanted to protest, but even he knew there was no ground left to stand on. Amara turned next to Lauren. You, Lauren Pierce, engaged in discriminatory treatment, public mockery, and verbal humiliation of a customer, who was, in fact, your employer. You dismissed a valid payment method by tossing a premium credit card in the trash. You reinforced biased culture through break-room comments recorded and corroborated by witnesses. You are hereby terminated. Lauren swallowed hard, lips trembling, eyes glassy. She nodded. It was the only thing left to do. Ethan Brooks. Amara continued. You fabricated a customer wait list. You withheld test drive access to create a false narrative of scarcity. You made public remarks demeaning to customers based on perceived class. You escalated the mockery and used company policy as a smokescreen for exclusion. You are terminated. Effective immediately. Ethan looked over at Victor like a drowning man scanning for a raft, but there was none. Finally. Amara turned to Victor. Victor Lang. You failed as a leader. You normalized bias under the guise of sales strategy. You instructed staff to ignore or delay service to customers who didn't look the part. You dismissed multiple internal complaints, covered up patterns of discrimination, and violated Apex's founding values. You are terminated. You will not receive severance. Your record will reflect this dismissal as cause-based. Victor inhaled sharply but didn't speak. Not yet. The words had struck like thunderclaps, one after the other, final and undeniable. Apex Automotive will no longer tolerate these practices, Amara said, raising her voice just enough to fill the space. We are issuing a formal, public apology to every customer who has experienced bias at any of our locations. We will also review past complaints filed over the last 3 years for similar misconduct. Anyone affected will be contacted and compensated accordingly. Jade Harper stepped forward. I'll oversee that with the reform team, she said. We owe these people more than a refund. We owe them respect. Claire came back over the phone. Public apology has been distributed to media outlets and posted on Apex's channels. Statement will air on regional news tonight, Zoe added. PR is preparing a follow-up interview request. Amara, you're already being requested on camera. The customers in the room clapped again, soft but certain. Amara didn't smile. Not yet. We are not celebrating, she said. We are correcting. We are acknowledging the failure, and we are rebuilding. Then came the moment no one expected. Victor stepped forward, shoulders sagging, voice low. There's more. Amara narrowed her eyes. Speak. We didn't just dismiss complaints, he said. We deleted them. I had Ethan wipe records. We erased names from the system so there wouldn't be a trail. Gasps rippled across the floor. Even Lauren turned to stare at him. You told me those files were just duplicates, she said, eyes wide. They weren't. Victor muttered. We were getting too many. Customers calling in, emailing, filing service reviews. I couldn't risk the numbers. So we buried it. Ethan looked like he might collapse. He told me to, he whispered. I didn't know they were real complaints at first. But by the time I did, I just kept doing it. Olivia stepped forward again, her voice shaking. So people were mistreated, silenced, and their voices erased just to protect your sales. Victor didn't answer. He didn't need to. Zoe's voice was clipped. We'll begin forensic recovery immediately. Internal IT will isolate all tampering. Legal will pursue liability based on obstruction and data falsification. Claire's voice returned, calm but cold. This seals the reform. We are launching the compliance overhaul today. Amara's shoulders remained still. She had not flinched. Every policy you twisted will be rewritten. Every victim you silenced will be heard. She turned back to the rest of the showroom, the customers, the staff, the citizens who had become witnesses. This was never about a single act of bias. It was a pattern, a design, and like any broken machine, it had to be shut down before it could be rebuilt. Then, finally, her voice softened. To those of you who stayed, who spoke, who watched and didn't turn away, thank you. You reminded me why I built this place. And with that, the meeting ended. Not with cheers, not with drama, but with clarity. Amara Davis had entered as a nobody and stood now as everything they never saw coming. 3 days after the showroom reckoning, Apex Automotive Group issued a public apology on every channel, TV, print, digital, owning every word of it. The footage had already gone viral despite Amara's request not to share it. Customers who witnessed the events posted their own accounts. Raw and outraged, former clients came forward with stories, ignored appointments, cold stares, wait lists that never existed. Amara didn't hide from it. She leaned in. The company created a public task force for customer resolution, reopened every buried complaint from the last 3 years, and issued compensation, private phone calls, and handwritten letters to those who'd been mistreated. Jade Harper led the effort, now promoted, no longer walking on eggshells under Victor's shadow. She responded to every client with care, every journalist with facts. Meanwhile, Amara returned briefly to headquarters, where she was met not with celebration, but with quiet, focused resolve. Reform wasn't a PR stunt. It was the new engine of the company. But the consequences didn't stop at the dealership doors. Within 2 weeks, state investigators opened inquiries into Apex's internal complaint system. Lauren gave a full statement, admitting she'd ignored a dozen reports in just 6 months, reports she now called obvious and preventable. Marcus vanished from the industry entirely. Ethan, surprisingly, came back, not for reinstatement, but to apologize. He requested a private meeting with Amara. She allowed it. He cried. He owned every action. "I laughed at you like you weren't human," he said. "I didn't just fail you. I failed everyone who looked like you." Amara didn't comfort him, but she listened. That was enough. And Victor? He disappeared for a while, until a former Apex regional executive came forward with documents, proof that Victor's behavior had been enabled, even encouraged, by someone higher up. Emails, memos, strategy decks with phrases like prioritize high visual value leads and discretionary waitlist deferrals for unscreened clients. The final twist hit like a second wave. Amara's confrontation hadn't just exposed 4 employees. It had cracked open a culture-wide rot that went all the way up the ladder. The board responded immediately, firing 2 more executives and announcing a new oversight program. But amid all the meetings, press, and restructure, something else happened, something quieter. 3 months after the incident, Amara received a handwritten letter in a simple blue envelope. There was no return address, just her name. Inside, in neat handwriting, a former customer wrote, "Years ago, I came into your showroom. I was wearing scrubs after a night shift. I was invisible. No one helped me. I left and cried in my car. When I saw what you did, I cried again. But this time, it was because someone finally stood up. Thank you for making people like me visible." Amara held the letter for a long time. She didn't speak. She didn't file it. She pinned it to the inside wall of her office, next to a new printout, the Apex Equity Initiative, a reform program launched that week. It was built not just to audit policy, but to train every location, every staff member, every intern, every manager, to recognize bias, confront it, and correct it. Jade helped design the onboarding modules. Olivia consulted on transparency. Jaden created a short film using footage from that day, never posted online but shown internally as part of the new hire curriculum. The dealership at 4500 Roosevelt Way NE became the pilot branch for the reforms. Its walls were the same. Its floors still gleamed. But everything had changed, and people felt it the moment they walked through the doors. The staff stood. They greeted everyone. No one assumed. No one judged. One afternoon, a woman in a hoodie walked in. No name tag, no designer bag, just calm confidence. And every eye turned, not to scrutinize her, but to greet her. It was Amara, visiting, checking, remembering. And as she looked around at the showroom that had once tried to reject her, she smiled. Not because the war was over, but because the right side had started winning. She stopped by Jade's desk. "How's the new team?" "Better," Jade said. "Still learning, but better." Amara nodded. "Keep going." Outside, the sky had turned gold against the skyline. Amara stood on the sidewalk for a moment before heading to her car. And before she left, she turned back to the glass windows. Her reflection stared back, no longer hidden in a hoodie, but not needing armor either. She was seen, heard, and finally, understood. And now, if you're reading this, I want to leave you with one last thought. Bias doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it says, "Company policy." But silence protects it, and courage breaks it. If you've ever been ignored, underestimated, or pushed aside, this story is yours. And if you've ever stayed silent while someone else was, this story is also yours. Change begins when we call it out. So now, take a moment. Stand with Amara. Speak for someone else. Break the cycle. Because justice doesn't wear a name tag. It shows up wearing anything, even a hoodie.